In business, we're all constantly on the hunt for a good deal, right? But here's the thing, probably the biggest mistake, the one that trips up so many people, is just looking at that sticker price. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain and see why that amazing price you see, well, it's often a trap. We're going to talk about the hidden dangers lurking just below the surface.
So, picture this. You found a new tool, a new service, maybe a new supplier, and the price looks fantastic. It seems like a total no-brainer, doesn't it? You're ready to sign on the dotted line. But hold on a second. Is that price really the whole story? I mean, is it actually a good deal?
Well, the reality is what you're seeing, that price tag, it's just the tip of the iceberg. What you don't see, the stuff that's hiding under the water, that's where the real danger is. We're talking about compliance issues that could get you in hot water, unforeseen costs that blow up your budget, and operational nightmares that can turn that great deal into a massive headache.
All right, so how do we deal with this? Let's dive in. To solve this, you need a new way of seeing. You need to see the whole priceberg. And the tool that lets you do that, it's called Total Cost of Ownership, or TCO for short.
Now, TCO, it sounds technical, but it's actually a really simple but incredibly powerful idea. Basically, it just forces you to look past that initial price tag and think about every single cost that comes with the product over its entire life. That iceberg analogy is perfect for this. The price, that's the little bit you see sticking out of the water. But the real monster, the truly dangerous part, is the huge mass of ice hiding underneath. That's where you'll find all the costs for support, training, risk, and even getting rid of the thing at the end. That's the part that can sink you.
Okay, so that's the theory. But talk is cheap, right? Let's get into some real-world examples to see how these hidden costs can absolutely torpedo a budget if you're not paying attention. We're going under the surface. Okay, first up, a super common purchase, a software license. So let's say you find this great tool for your team. The license fee is $10,000 a year. It seems pretty straightforward, right? What could go wrong? But oh boy, when you actually calculate the true total cost of ownership over just 3 years, that number absolutely balloons to $46,000. So you've got to be asking, where on earth is all that extra money going?
All right, let's break this down. Where does the money really go? Yeah, the license fee itself is the biggest piece of the pie, no surprise there. But look at what's hiding in there. $9,000 for support, $2,000 for training, and get this, a whopping $5,000 that you have to account for just for the risk of getting hit with a compliance audit penalty? Ouch. That right there, that's the part of the iceberg you never see coming, and it's the part that can completely sink your budget. But here's the most important part. You can totally control these risks. Something as simple as having legal just glance over the contract can catch those nasty clauses that lead to that $5,000 penalty. Setting up automatic reminders for renewals, that stops those surprise auto charges. And actually monitoring who's using the software, that makes sure you're not paying for licenses that are just collecting dust. These are simple controls that can literally save you thousands.
Okay, let's move on to our next case study. You'll see how this pattern repeats. We're talking about cloud services. I mean, pretty much every company uses them now, right? And they're famous for that awesome pay-as-you-go flexibility.
Yeah, but that flexibility can also be a massive trap. That seemingly small monthly fee can spiral out of control so fast. And when you do a proper TCO analysis, you might find a potential annual cost of over $38,000. Wow!
And if you look at this chart, you can see exactly why that happens. See, the cost isn't just one thing. It's this mix of compute power, data storage, network traffic, monitoring tools. Each one seems small on its own, but if you're not watching them like a hawk, they add up and lead to these insane budget overruns.
So what's the solution? You guessed it. It's all about putting the right controls in place. Things like getting a formal budget approved before you even start, setting up automated alerts that ping you when spending spikes. And this one is so critical. Reviewing the vendor for data privacy and checking the contract jurisdiction. You absolutely have to know where your data is living.
Okay, let's switch gears a bit. We've talked tech. Now let's talk about something physical. Because this whole priceberg idea, it doesn't just apply to software and clouds. Let's imagine something really simple, like ordering juice for your office or cafe. You'd probably just budget for the cost of the juice itself, right? But that is only one small part of the equation. Once you factor in all the other stuff, the true TCO for that simple juice supply comes out to $7,500. I mean, just look at this breakdown. You've got refrigeration costs to keep it cold, you've got transportation to get it to you, and look at that big slice for wastage. That's all the juice that goes bad before you can even sell it or serve it. These are real, tangible costs that are just eating away at your profit.
So how do you get a handle on this? It really comes down to safety and quality control. For instance, actually logging the storage temperatures? That directly cuts down on that wastage cost. Sticking to an approved vendor list with reliable delivery, that minimizes transport problems. Look, these aren't just boring bureaucratic steps. They are what protect your customers and your bottom line.
All right, one last example, and it's something we've all bought, a new laptop. You'd think this would be pretty straightforward, wouldn't you? So you buy it for, what, $1,500 maybe? But over its 3-year life, the actual cost to your business is closer to $2,300.
And here's the real kicker with hardware. A big chunk of that hidden cost doesn't even show up until the very end of the laptop's life. Complying with e-waste disposal regulations, that has a real price tag. And it's one that so many businesses completely forget to budget for. This is exactly why having a proper asset management process is so important. You've got to log the device in an asset register the moment it comes in. You need to document the warranty details. And crucially, when you get rid of it, you need to get a formal disposal certificate. These aren't just suggestions, they're non-negotiable compliance steps.
Okay, so we've seen the problem. We've looked at the hidden risks in software, in the cloud, even with juice and laptops. So what's the big takeaway here? How can you start using this like today? Well, it all comes down to a simple, super practical checklist.
Here it is. Think of this as your 5-point shield against the Priceberg problem. First, vendor. Always use an approved vendor. Second, contract. Get it reviewed every single time. Third, life cycle. You have to think about the full cost from the day you buy it to the day you toss it. Fourth, risks. You need to proactively document all the potential risks. And finally, number 5, alerts. Set up those renewal and review alerts so nothing ever catches you by surprise. Seriously, follow these 5 steps and it will completely change the way you buy things. So I'm going to leave you with one final question to think about. The very next time you're about to sign off on a purchase, no matter how big or small, just stop for a second and ask yourself, what is the real cost here? Thanks for tuning in.